start. First, I want to thank you all for being here. Recognize the JBC members who are here, Representative Jerome, Senator Hodge, Senator Stedman, Senator Lavender, Representative Becker, Representative Levy. You know, until you've actually seen what they do day in and day out, it is impossible to appreciate the number of balls that they have to keep in the air and the incredible complexity of the decisions they're faced with every day. On our side, with no less complexity, Henry Sobade and his team, Roxanne White, our Chief of Staff, the entire team that tries to work, I think in a truly bipartisan way, to figure out what are the appropriate compromises, what are the appropriate spending priorities, so that we can create a budget that is worthy of the people of Colorado. And I think, again, this year they've done a remarkable job. After coming out of the conference, the resolution conference, last year we had 85 votes out of 100. This year we had 86 votes out of 100. I don't think I need to remind anyone that this is almost unique in purple states, where we have two different houses, legislative houses, with one Republican and one Democrat. Also, it's worth pointing out that this year we saw the fewest number of no votes since 1995. And I think what we saw were constructive compromises again and again in a variety of places. The JBC worked very hard to protect Colorado's most vulnerable citizens, providing funding to provide essential services to people with developmental disabilities, to make sure that we fully restored the homestead exemption. Within economic development, they continued economic development funding through the Office of Economic Development and International Trade, and we intend to continue our successes we've had in the last year, at least 2,000 new jobs in the upcoming fiscal year, and they continue to provide funding for the Colorado tourism and creative industries. Also, it's a great focus this year on educating Colorado's children and making sure that our educational system got the support that it needed. That's the first time since fiscal year 2008-2009 where the state was able to maintain the funding per pupil for the entire system of K-12. They also were able to support ongoing educator effectiveness operations as originally mandated by Senate Bill 10-191. And we were also able to truly minimize the reductions to funding of higher education. Continue our efforts to modernize state government. We have funding in place to update critical IT services, including the state's financial system, coffers, and the benefits management system. I think we'll see significant improvements in each of those. And I think we also were frugal in terms of setting aside and planning for future budgets. There's at least $59 million going over to the State Education Fund to help prepare for K-12 growth in the fiscal year 2013-2014 budget. Also 4%, there is a 4% reserve in the general fund. Even with all these positive accomplishments, we have to recognize that Colorado's budget is not out of the woods, and we continue to face difficult challenges. Recovery continues, but it's slower than previous recoveries. We have to recognize that what we're climbing out of was an abyss. It was the worst recession since the Great Depression of the 1930s. And to really imagine that we're going to recover at the same rate that we have from other recessions, perhaps overly optimistic. I think if you look at, despite the inflation and population growth, general fund is essentially flat from 2002-08. Another way of looking at that is in the intervening 5 years, if you put in inflation, population growth, there's well over $1 billion behind where we were 5 years ago. The budget provides, I think, through all these things, a comprehensive, prudent, and thoughtful allocation of taxpayer dollars. I think the support that both parties in both houses gave to the budget demonstrates that people were trying to find the right compromise. And again, the JDC worked very, very hard at that, and I think that their collaborative ability and their pragmatism says a great deal about what they got done. We're going to ask several of the legislators to speak. We'll start with President Schaefer, and then if he's here, I think he might have gotten called away, but Representative McNulty, Speaker McNulty, and then Representative Giroux and Senator Hodge. So President Schaefer.
Thank you.
Well, thank